So, welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Black Therapist. It's been a while, so thank you for extending grace. Um, Life happens and sometimes we lose time, but then I also believe that everything has its perfect timing. So, hopefully, this message will bless you all today. Happy Men's Mental Health Month, by the way, fellas. Hope you take care of your mental this month and continue to do so on a daily basis. The strength is not in holding on, but the strength is in letting it go. So I charge you to find another male to mentor and then encourage them to enter into mental health supports. Okay, that was my soapbox moment, but I'm so serious though. So, all today I wanted to touch base on a journey that I have found myself on that I hope can assist you all on your journey. So, how many of you have noticed that you have been carrying your past and letting it determine your behaviors? I'm letting it determine your future. So, anyone? No, just me. All right. So, I've been thinking a lot about how our past experiences can cause internal conflict, and we find ourselves fighting between the person we once were and the person we want to be. So, our life circumstances and the way we were reared produces stamps in our memory that can cause us to be joyful, angry, anxious, envious, sad, embarrassed, or feel bleak. It is in our choice after feeling that feeling that we find ourselves progressing or stuck. So, Sigmund Freud was known as the founder of psychoanalytics, and psychoanalytics is a theory in which our conscious and unconscious goes through conflict. These conflicts that occur help to develop our behaviors. So, through conflict, we discover that something is not sitting well with us and we have to do something different. It builds characteristics that form who we are. And Freud introduced the world to the concept of defense mechanisms. So, today I wanted to talk from the topic on guard. Okay. So, defense mechanisms are psychological strategies that are unconsciously used to protect a person from uncomfortable thoughts or feelings. According to the Freudian theory, defense mechanisms involved a distortion of reality in some way so that we are better able to cope with a situation. Freud introduces six theories to the world, and I want to take a little time to explore them. The six defense mechanisms include repression, denial, projection, displacement, regression, and sublimation. So let's dive into repression. It is defined as an unconscious mechanism employed by the ego to keep disturbing or threatening thoughts from becoming a part of our conscious. So, meaning you have restrained or limited and are holding back. In my opinion, this is where you may have thoughts and feelings toward certain circumstances, situations, or people, but you decide to hold those thoughts and feelings to yourself. So you push them down. You push down items into your psyche and act as if it's not there or wasn't there. It's the concept of not taking a risk due to fear, not being vulnerable due to fear or judgment, and reducing who you are due to the fear of conflict. It is also the concept of trying to forget when something happens. It can often be something traumatic and or unfavorable. It could be the pain from a divorce, pain from an assault, or even the pain of loss. In all scenarios, we work to reduce the uncomfortable feelings. The issue with repression is that what we push down often will come back up, or it will cause other feelings to arise that we didn't think existed. So we think that we are protecting ourselves, but in fact, we are avoiding our feelings that are meant to be felt. However, when we feel, we gain wisdom, we gain strength, and we gain a new perspective on how to do life. Just think of it in this way: when your leg falls asleep, what do you feel? Most of the time you're numb, right? But when it comes back and has full flow, what do you feel then? So get the little tingly feeling. So it went through the nerve, that we realize, and through this we realize we can't sit on the toilet for long periods of time scrolling through our phone, right? We can probably only do about 15 minutes. Don't judge me. All right, these are my confessions. So next we have denial, and it's not just a river in Egypt. So denial is defined as blocking external events from awareness. If some situation is just too much to handle, the person just refuses to experience it. If anyone remembers VHS players, and how they would play whatever you recorded from your camcorder, when your favorite show comes on, you would hit the record button, right? And the VCR would just start recording what you wanted. But then let's say somebody else comes along and their favorite show, and they think the VHS tape is blank. And so they hit record and then they start recording over what you already had. So denial can be looked at in the same concept. Your memory recorded an event that may have been painful and unbearable. And then, your mind starts to begin to record over the previous memory so that you are protected from those feelings like they never existed. So you continue to live life with little to no regrets. However, the thing about blocking things is that we, once again, are limiting, restraining, and putting something in our way. In addition, as we continue to navigate life, we can be re-triggered, right? And so you ever sit and hear things or see things and say, this has happened before, kind of like a deja vu moment, but you just can't put your finger on it. So denied feelings, denied thoughts that were blocked, are then re-triggered through some smell, some sight, or feeling. Now here you are thinking you're progressing, and bam, the feelings you thought washed away in the river of denial have washed up on shore. So the second time around is often worse than the first time, because now you have no coping skills, just unmet needs and more confusion on how to deal with the feelings you didn't have before. So you may panic and enter into a stage of fight or flight, right? Or you fall back into denial. Those around you may get confused and begin to judge, right? And now here you are feeling delusional or incapable of living in your truth, because the suppression or the denial of the feelings and thoughts has become familiar to you. And I promise I'm not coming for you, but rather coming for myself. All right. So someone said, complacency is the enemy of progress, and I feel that. So okay, let's roll into projection. So this is probably the one that I like learning about the most. Projection involves individuals attributing their own unacceptable thoughts, feelings, and motives to another person. So the reason this is my favorite defense mechanism is because I guarantee that everyone has done it more than once in a day. Yes, a day. So this defense mechanism is what I call audacity. This is when you are having feelings of inadequacy or know that you are doing something that you shouldn't, and you feel guilty or frustrated or mad with yourself. Yet instead of being accountable, you give the stamp of shame to someone else. So it's like you literally projectile vomit your thoughts and feelings onto another person. And, these are your vile feelings, thoughts, whatever. And you throw it up on their shirt, and then you tell them to clean up their mess. Hence why I call this defense mechanism the audacity, right? So you begin to project as a result of guilt, self loathing, or some other feeling. Projection makes us feel better about ourselves. And you know how they had been trying to teach you to share in preschool. Well, through projection, this is the perfect time that we often decide to exercise this skill. So after being selfish for years, um, any does anybody know this person? Is anyone this person, right? So let me encourage you. Michael Jackson said it best. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. So the reverse to projection, you have to start with a person in the mirror. You have to build awareness of your thoughts and feelings, and identify where you want to begin to change. Once you're able to do that, be accountable. Don't let your mess become someone else's mess. Okay. Often our projections are deeply rooted due to hurt, and that can be from family, that can be from friends, or our own internal insecurities. All right, so let's move on because I could spend all day on projection. The next defense mechanism is displacement, another audacity defense mechanism. So this is when you harbor feelings toward one thing, but take it out on another thing. So an example of this would be, I am overwhelmed and frustrated from work. And I come home to my children or whoever and start to tell them how they're getting on my nerves and they are a burden, even though they may not have done anything to me, to trigger me or anything of that nature. But my anger and frustration initiated at my job, instead of taking it out at work and working through it at work. The alternative was to bring it home because I am then triggered, by my kids, quote unquote. So please understand this is a fictitious scenario to provide a point, but very real. This is somebody's real life. So we walk around with unresolved feelings and take it out on those that may not deserve it. They say it hurts more to hold on than to let go, and you have to work through unresolved issues and feelings. And please understand that unresolved feelings and issues don't have to stem from a present situation. They can also stem from the past. And how many of you are still harboring the hurt from our parents, an ex, a friend we trusted but found out they weren't real, a church congregation that seemed like family but later found out they weren't? Maybe a husband who pledged his love to you, but then also to several other women, right? Not you. All right. So, or maybe, your vice was something else. Like unresolved issues weren't displaced to a person, but to a thing like marijuana or alcohol or sex. Am I talking to anybody yet? Okay, well, I'll let it go for now. But understand that unresolved issues and feelings lead to underdeveloped and scared individuals. And underdeveloped and scared individuals repeat cycles and create underdeveloped and scared children, and then get into generational hurt and unresolved issues. So this leads to mistrust, and now we are on guard, right? So the fifth defense mechanism that we will explore is regression. This one explains itself. You regress, right? This is a movement back into a psychological time when one is faced with stress. So let me give it to you in layman's terms. You all grew, know that I grew up in an unhealthy environment, but it was functional. My way of coping with addiction in my home was to shut down and cut off relationships because of the hurt and embarrassment. Anytime I feel someone is trying to take advantage of me or make me feel like I was, that little girl back at home watching my parents battle their addiction, um, I ensure that I get them first. I'd rather they hurt than I hurt. I'd rather them feel alone than I feel alone. So I sliced and diced and then cut it off. Access to me is a privilege. Now, don't get me wrong. And that's something you should tell yourself. Um, as well. But don't be like me. Deal with people a little more gently. I was a one and done, still am in some ways, but I am learning that there is freedom in letting go. So my point is, I regress back to a time, a feeling, a situation that made me feel comfortable, and my body knew that when people made me feel alone, embarrassed or hurt. I strike them first through my words and actions and then cut them off because this is how I shielded myself. And they would, either retreat or they keep coming. And I didn't, they didn't get access to me. So I was on guard. As I went through life, I kept my guard up because it was my security blanket. It helped me to maintain control, which I didn't have when I was younger. So it helped me to predict or try to plant a seed of what I wanted to be next in my life. So everyone else was just a pawn in my life. And so when we are feeling overwhelmed by life, we go back to a time in which we were safe or felt good about ourselves and situation. It's like living in a flashback and you're trying to find your way back to the future. So the last defense mechanism that Freud enlightened us with was sublimation. So, this is defined as satisfying an impulse with a substitute object in a socially acceptable way. So, this is when we may be feeling anxious, and in order to feed it or make us feel comfortable, we will bury ourselves in work. Or it can be when we are feeling anger and frustration and we decide to go to the gym or go for a run. You are channeling that energy into something else that may help you deal with the feeling or the impulse that you are feeling. So, this is another favorite of mine because I think this is where we begin to build coping skills, right? We find ways to channel those uncomfortable feelings into something that will help us to ease the feelings that we are feeling. However, I then ask myself, do we really address the feeling? And I think the key takeaway for me was knowing that when our feelings are heightened, we can't deal with them in a healthy manner. Thus, we need something to bring us to an even level so that we can begin to identify what is causing these feelings or what. We're able to deal with things rationally and how we should address them without causing further damage to ourselves or others. And so our feelings are meant to be felt and explored. And I think we get so consumed in trying to be perfect for others in society that we forget about our need to develop mentally, spiritually, physically, and socially. So Perfection does not exist, guys. And some pain is just guaranteed. Everything that happens in our life happens for a reason, even if it was something that we did not ask for. That hurt, that pain, that joy, that embarrassment helped you in some way. There's freedom in recognizing the good and the bad, and shedding what does not work for our growth. So I used to think that the more guarded I was, um, that was the best way of keeping people away that weren't meant to be in my circle. The thing that I am discovering is that I did not extend grace to others because I was looking for me and them, and I couldn't extend grace to myself. So, newsflash, everyone can't be you. You were uniquely made, and so searching for yourself and others makes you miss out on the beauty of the differences that others bring. And I tell my daughter this all the time. And the differences, we learn a new perspective, we learn new ways to interact, we learn versatility, and most importantly, we learn resilience. So our power is in choosing to let your guard down. You choosing to feel whether good or bad shows your strength and willingness to transform into what God wants you to be. And I've been learning that when you are on guard, you are limiting what God can do in your life, and you miss your blessings. You miss out on being in the moment because you are too busy trying to control a life that is not yours to control. But for God to control, or whoever you believe in, but I told you, me and my house, we will praise the Lord. Okay. So I think the key in this is belief. If you've seen Inside Out 2, I think that Joy realized that in trying to only keep the good memories, you limit yourself to one form of a person. And it took anxiety to come and kind of shift things up, shake things up, for all of the emotions to realize that we will, feel all types of things, and that helps to build us. It also shows that not one emotion can fix broken places. It takes all emotions to mend broken places. The line that stood out to me the most was when Joy told anxiety that she had to let Riley go because she was hurting her. And it's in our letting go that we find healing. It's in our letting go that we discover who we want to be. It's in our letting go that we are free. And after anxiety let Raleigh go, Raleigh sought joy. So listen to that again. After anxiety let Raleigh go, Raleigh sought after joy. So we have to go to, get to a place where we learn from our uncomfortable situations so that we can appreciate the joy. If you have not seen the movie, I highly recommend it. It was perfectly illustrated and shows the importance of being attuned to our emotions. And I promise one day I will leave the Disney movie references alone. Today's not that day, but I feel like I have learned so many life lessons as an adult from children's movies, or maybe I'm healing my inner child through the movies. Think about it. When I was younger, it was entertainment, and now that I am older, it is help, and I use it to help my children understand themselves, friendship, family, and life circumstances. The other thing that I'm learning is that elevation requires shedding and trust. I was in Bible study, and one of the ladies said, you have to grieve who you once were to find joy in who you are becoming. Mm, I felt that, right? And my past does not define who I want to be. So my past limits me, and I don't like to be chained. I'm a Scorpio, okay? Hmm. So God uses one of my dearest friends to come scoop me up. She said, "Hey, sis," one day, and she came and she really broke things down to me, and it broke this barrier that was within me. So I'm also so thankful for his presence and for sending, other people to help. And when you are guarded, you often miss these folks that were sent to help guide you and help you get to the next level. So God doesn't always speak to you directly. He often will send signs, he'll use people, he'll use things so that you can hear from him. So if you don't take anything from this at all, please take these things. Find your freedom. Mental health freedom can take you to places you never imagined. Have faith in yourself and in your process. So you won't be able to see the end, but keep working and it will fall into place. Don't do life alone. I've said it a million times. It's the strangers in our lives that help us to develop into who we want to be. And then lastly, what or who consumes your mind is who or what you give power to. So don't let the world take your power from you. The power should remain inside of you. Let down your guard. Not everyone or everything is trying to hurt you. Don't be paranoid like me, but rather it is to develop you. And even if their intentions are not favorable, you've learned what or who you want around you. So be sure to cultivate your garden and let the snakes be exposed. But at the same time, plant seeds of positivity and watch them grow. So hopefully this was helpful because it definitely was freeing for me. I will leave you with this quote, and it says, "The day I understood everything was the day that I stopped trying to figure everything out. The day I knew peace was the day I let everything go." So please take some time, figure out what it is that you need to let go in order to grow you, in order to push you, in order to get you to that next level. Love you guys. Appreciate your grace and your mercy. And hopefully we'll get together soon to do this again. Peace.